Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming. My name is Andrew Kropff. Today I'm going to be presenting my capstone project, The Cave. The Cave is a simulator based on Plato's allegory of the cave. It uses first-person shooter mechanics to suggest self-reflecting themes of consumerism and the obsession of material goods. Success in the game is determined on the player's ability to decipher and analyze advertisements and product labeling to determine what items are of true value and what items are of detriment to their personal wellness. So the problem is that video games have a very long history of being perceived as extremely violent, gory, and sometimes these games they touch on mature themes such as terrorism, war games. But the messages are often forgettable in the abundance of gore and violence. They're very fun to play. They're limited in their scope, they're limited in their messages. And they neglect classic stories and they neglect contemporary issues. So my solution was to create a game that represents a shooter and its mechanics, but it doesn't actually have any violence in it whatsoever. It's based on Plato's allegory of the cave, so the player must escape from an illusionary world. This world emphasizes qualities like luxury, material goods, and the pursuit of wealth. So it may sound like a world familiar to you. And the player has to use their own judgment to determine what items will help them out of the illusionary cave world and what items will keep them in prison. So before the player can escape the cave, first the cave has to be built. This began by writing a design document, and it detailed all the game rules, the mechanics, and the elements in the game. Next, concept art and storyboards were used to design the game environments and all of the game events. A 3D modeling program was used to build these designs and to build the 3D game environment and all the game objects in the game. And once we had those objects, they were put into a game engine. Here they were combined with programming code to create the interactivity, how the player would interact with the game environment, how the game environment would interact with the player, and the user interface, how the player would perceive the game. After that, music and sound effects were scripted into the game. This would help immerse the player further into a convincible game world. Once that was completed, the game went under some testing just to make sure there was no major playability issues or no major glitches that would keep people from having fun. These are the tools I used for the construction of the cave. First, the design document was written by Microsoft Word. Autodesk Might is a industry standard for 3D modeling and animation that was used for the game environment and all the game objects. Adobe Photoshop was used to add detail to the game objects. Sonar 8.5 is a music engineering software. It was used for the music and the sound effects. And lastly, all of these elements were combined using Unity 3, the game engine. I have a video demonstration for you. Hopefully, we're having some technical issues, so hopefully it works.
Will he not fancy that the shadows which he formerly saw are truer than the objects which are now shown to him? Welcome to Plato's Bargains, where all of my products are cheap, but some may cost you a little something extra. Buy as many items of true value as you can before time runs out. But watch out for buying junk. It's worthless and sucks up all your time and money. Welcome, shopper. Are you ready for your first taste of happiness? Go ahead. Grab another item and try again. Don't you feel happy? You have passed the Consumer Compliance and Competency Test. You should be very proud of yourself.
I learned a ton working on this capstone project. First and foremost, it was very difficult to apply things like ancient Greek philosophy into video games, but it is doable. I learned a lot about project management, making goals, and completing the goals. Just the general workflow of how games are made, the right steps to take, the process of making a game. I learned all about that in this capstone project. And lastly, programming and scripting. I'm a design major, so I don't do a lot of programming, and it was a lot of work and a great learning experience to research all the programming aspects. Lastly, I'd just like to say thanks to my professors Pat Watson and Kevin Cahill. I'd like to thank the students of my CST 401 and 496 classes, and my friends Spencer Lindsay, Adam Fisk, and Drew Callan. Also the Unity community for helping me make the game possible. And I'd like to thank you guys for your time here. If you want to learn more about my capstone presentation of the cave, you can just go to room 156 where I'm having my poster session.